Um, Good evening, everyone. What's up? Just any satisfying meal and topped it off with a measly dessert. This is Mr. Hata speaking. Previously, there was a rant on Nickelodeon, 2015, a rant on Nick Jr., and one more rant. Today is the second part of the top 10 worst Fairly Odd Parents episodes. That was made 2 weeks ago, but there are only 2 more episodes left on this countdown. So this video will be named the worst Fairly Odd Parents ever in history. Let's begin, shall we? We left off at number 2. So if one hasn't seen the other part, it is recommended that they do to follow up with this. Anyway, let's begin, shall we? With number 2, the chicken poofs. Poof has the chicken poofs, which are highly contagious. Poof is afraid of Timmy, of shots, and turns Timmy's parents into chickens. Then Cosmo, then Mr. Crocker, and everyone else is turned into a chicken. A guy wants 1,000 chickens and captures all of them for a chicken dippin' dippadome, which is like similar to Popeyes or KFC. Everyone gets the chicken poofs from the stadium because Poof coughs all over the place. To get the medicine, Wanda has to obtain a rare flower from the fairy world and succeeds. The flower was for whoever was making the medicine. Lame! Risking one's life for that? How selfish is that? That's seriously a crime. A serious crime. That quote-unquote doctor broke the medicine, so he should be responsible. It was all his fault. He's not cool at all. From Poof being a wimp, everyone almost died. Back at the Dippadome, all the people were about to be turned into dinner. Wanda arrives at the medicine where Poof is trapped into the sauce, the peanut sauce. It is revealed that the shot was just a carrying kit. Seriously? Are you kidding? Why wasn't that just said earlier? Oh yeah, there wouldn't be a plot without this. Everyone is saved just in time before sudden death. Although there are no chickens left, there are many eggs that make the dome stay in business. At the end, Cosmo has the German measles and gives it to everyone. The end. Due to Poofs and its so-called doctor selfishness, everyone almost died. They almost killed thousands of people just because they wouldn't endure pain. Does one want to know why this episode was just as bad as some of the worst SpongeBob episodes ever? Yes, it's easy to guess why. It was all because of Poof. Why isn't that little brat being punished? Just like from Ninjago. He deserved that shot. He deserved to endure pain. What a big crybaby. It was all his fault. All his fault. By the way, screw that doctor. He's one of the most irresponsible doctors ever in history. He's like those party doctors from Sanjay and Craig, but he's even worse than that kind of doctor. Oh yeah, he deserved to be punished, but not as much as Poof. Has one seen what Poof has done throughout this entire episode? Yes. What he has done is he had committed a crime, a serious crime. One's bubble boil after seeing this episode. It was that bad. Poof deserves a death penalty. He nearly killed hundreds of people, including some major characters. Yes, he did. Don't be fooled so easily, children. Poof is just as bad as Patrick Star, even worse at times. Now it's time for the worst Fairly Odd Parents episode of all time. The most poorly thought out episode was almost as bad as number 2. This episode was so bad that it'll make one want to destroy an inanimate object from how furious they will be after seeing this. It It is almost as bad as the top 5 worst SpongeBob episodes in history, which it is. It is 3, 2, 1. If one hasn't guessed already, it's Farm Pit. So one may ask how this episode starts off. It was one of the worst ways to start off an episode. It was so surreal to the point that it was ridiculous. Timmy's dad leaves for work as early as possible to beat the traffic, like in the middle of the night, almost. When he attempts to move his car out of the driveway, all the cars come out of nowhere and block him from getting out of his place. When he moves again, all the cars move away and disappear. When he attempts to get out another time, all the cars come right back, all over the place. From the crack of dawn and dusk, Timmy's dad attempts to get out of his driveway, failing miserably to succeed. A major plot hole. Cars just don't do that. They don't. They just don't. Cars just don't do that all day long. They do that twice a day and that's it. Rush hour traffic, morning and night, to go to work. That's it. Not the whole day. If that was the case, people wouldn't even be driving. From that, Timmy's dad is so fed up with that nonsense, malarkey, which he cannot be blamed for. He is so fed up that he quits his job and decides to become a farmer. Ever so prideful, dim-witted, silly, and conceited, Mr. Turner thinks he has a green thumb, but does not. Never has, and most certainly never will. When he touches a little plant, guess what it does? It's gas. One won't believe this at all. It's such a lie. The little itsy-bitsy plant shrieked and turned into a tombstone. Basically, it died. Just like that. Whoa, what on earth is this BS? It can't be. Plants don't die just from that. They can't. They just can't. What's so dangerous about Timmy's dad? Let's see. One would know. Oh yeah, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Seriously. How can a little plant just die from that? His finger isn't poisonous, nor does that turd on it. There's no excuse on why the useless plant should have died. When the farm package arrives later, Timmy's dad plants his seeds on a mailbox because he is that dumb. Instead of water, he uses coffee to water them. Even a mailbox, which is a non-living thing, shrieks and turns into a tombstone. That was what happened to the little plant that dumb old Mr. Turner touched. Why a mailbox? A mailbox doesn't do that. It's not even a living thing. To prevent devastation, Timmy wishes for the farm, wish granted. The next morning, the parents are jumping for joy because their farm is a success. Not only is Timmy's dad super boastful enough to think that he's the greatest farmer, which he is certainly not, he says that he's the greatest farmer ever. Timmy must harvest all the crops due to the success of that fake farm. Yes, it's a fake farm. Farms aren't like that. Meanwhile, the dim-witted parents do nothing all day with the exception of being fatties. They do nothing at all. They're just a bunch of grasshoppers from the ant and the grasshopper. The veggies are so big because they are planted by super seeds. These crops are so strong that magic can't even stop them from growing, which is a very good thing that Timmy doesn't see. If that was the case, there'd be no starvation, and then food would be cheaper. Food would be so dirt cheap that nobody would starve. However, in this abysmal episode, Timmy is dumb enough not to think. He whines like a little baby, a crybaby, because it's a lot of work. Once the crops are harvested, they grow back just like that. There was no development in this episode at all. Cosmo, who is as annoying as ever, never shuts up. And as dumb as he can be, has an apple pie, a scarecrow, and even a tornado, aka a tiny twist. The tornado causes massive destruction, sucking the fairies. The parents rush to the cellar, thinking that Scarecrow's Timmy. After there is nothing left, Timmy's dad recommands the farm to regrow, and out of nowhere, it just instantly does just like that. With that, he thinks that he's still the best farmer ever, which is utter BS. From the tornado, the fairies end up in Cleveland, where Cosmo is very happy to be at. In the meantime, Cosmo will quit obsessing over some magical wizard that doesn't exist. Cleveland is a ghetto, just like in real life. At some point after, Wanda gets stopped by the police, for who knows why. Back at the parents' farm, Timmy was rebuilding a barn. Just as he finished the barn, an obese cow crushes it, obliterating it. All day, Timmy must do everything by himself, which is extremely tiresome to him. The reason for the livestock being oversized was because they accidentally were fed super steeds, which is a good thing because people won't starve. This episode doesn't think at all. If crops were that big and it kept growing back every time they're harvested, food would be free almost. Even the homeless people could have all-you-can-eat buffets. The farm was a success, but by the time it is, Timmy is so tired and beat to the point where he has to beg his dad for rest. However, he says happily that farmers never rest and that they'll be farmers forever. Right after that, he says he needs a rest. Now that's just hypocritical. Timmy's dad is an old hypocrite. Timmy's dad is just being a lazy grasshopper. Timmy thinks he'll never survive, but the tornado takes him away. The mother sees that Timmy is gone, realizing that it was just a scarecrow. Well, finally, it's about time someone saw that and woke up out of their lull world. These are the first thoughts of Mr. Turner. Who's going to harvest the crops? Wow, that's all Mr. Turner can think of. Thinking about that farming is easy, he attempts to harvest the crops himself, but guess what happens? No, really, just guess. The crop shrieks and turns into a tombstone. Woo! Back in Cleveland, the tornado brings Timmy to Cosmo and Wanda. Cosmo reveals that his wand's from the back of his pocket the whole time and doesn't even get punished. With that, they go back to the farm. Back there, all the crops are ruined by Timmy's dad, killing them all. Even that itsy-bitsy radish died. It's tragic enough that Timmy's parents are on the ground crying. By that time, he's so desperate that he would give anything to be back in the driveway. Timmy's wishes for everything to be back to normal, like every other episode that one has seen. Instead of a car, the dad uses a cow. This episode is so bad that after seeing this, one would want to destroy their TV just from that. That didn't make any sense. How can Timmy's dad kill a plant just from touching it? There's no poop or chemical or urine on it. Every time one sees that, it'll want to make him punch their TV until it's shattered into pieces. Yeah, seriously, how can there not be many cars all day? And why do they keep doing that? What's wrong with these people who made this episode? What's wrong with this episode? It wasn't even like that at all in any other episode, so why on earth does it have to be in this one? Randomness. That's ridiculous. Mr. Turner wouldn't even admit that he was the worst farmer ever until the very end. He doesn't even know one fact about farming. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. He's almost as dumb as modern-day Patrick Star. That's what has been included from this episode. Yeah. Cannot believe that there were episodes that bad in the Fairly Odd Parents, and nobody did a countdown on this show, even though this show has had abysmal episodes. The only person that even discussed one episode was Pie Guy Rules, and nobody even bothered to copy him at all. It's very disappointing that there were all these SpongeBob countdowns, but there weren't any Fairly Odd Parents countdowns. Fairly Odd Parents has just as many problems as SpongeBob, but isn't interesting enough to watch all the episodes. So far, the series is on hiatus as of the summer of 2014. Hopefully, it'll end one day. Many people will find this agreeable that the Fairly Odd Parents has jumped a shark. Anyway, that is all there is to say for this countdown or rant, whatever it's called. Fawn Pit will probably stay at number 1 forever. There's probably not going to be another episode that's going to be this bad. But some of the dishonorable mentions come from when Sparky was in the series. There may be a second rant on the Fairly Odd Parents, depending on how much more there is to say about it. That's all there is to say for this video. The next video should come out next week, hopefully. There will be a few more rants coming up. That's all there is to say for this rant, or video, whatever it's called. The next videos will be, or rants will be, there will be another Grounded Videos rant. There will be a rant on Thomas the Tank Engine. That'll take a long time to make, though. Maybe another rant of Fairly Odd Parents. That's all there is planned for so far, though. We'll see, though. So. This is Mr. Hata peacing out. Sorry for rambling this whole time. Good night. Good riddance of this show. Good night.